Hello students, good morning. In our last video, we have understood about proxemics. Now today, we shall learn about the paralinguistic features, right? So here I am Dr. Hira Rajwani to teach you paralinguistic features. In this unit, understand various things, right? So this session we will learn about concept and meaning, elements of paralanguage, voice, speaking speed, variation in volume, pause, non-fluencies, proper word stress, pronunciation, punctuation marks, pitch and intonation, and in the end we will continue about the conclusion part of this video. So let's move on to the first point, is paralanguage. What is a paralanguage? When it comes to get our messages across to others, it is not so much what we say as how we say it. Paralanguage is the study of the how to put it simply, means whatever we have to say, but more important is how to say it, right? So this way it happens. Many times it happens that people have so much to say, but they don't know how to say, in which manner to say, in which tone to say, and how we have to put pause and stress to say that thing. So it is a kind of meta communication. It is a code that translates the words we are saying into what we really mean. Each of these actions tell us listeners something. They impact others emotionally. So they are leaving some emotional impact on the people, right? So each of these actions, the paralanguage features, they are telling something to the listeners. Means what is the mood, in which tone it is said, what is the pronunciation. So this way they impact others emotionally, right? If we want to make our speech so emotional, then we can add paralanguage features, and these paralanguage features make our speech emotional. It can be used to communicate attitudes, it convey emotion or modify meaning. Sometimes what we want to say, but if we use paralanguage features and then we say, then it modifies the meaning. In simple terms, paralanguage can be thought of as how something is said rather than what is said. Now, paralanguage, in other words, we can say that the study of paralanguage is known as paralinguistics. Yes, it is also known as a paralinguistics. It can be used to communicate attitudes, convey emotion, or modify meaning. In simple terms, paralanguage can be thought of as how something is said rather than what is said. It refers to the non-verbal elements of speech, such as vocal pitch, intonation, speaking tempo. It is also known as vocalics and is component of meta communication. Now let us see what is Wikipedia says about paralinguistic features. It is a component of meta communication that may modify meaning, give nuanced meaning, or convey emotion by using techniques such as prosody, pitch, volume, intonation, etc. It is sometimes defined as relating to non-phonemic properties. So these are some of the things which Wikipedia says. Now let's move on to the elements of paralanguage. Now here are some paralanguage elements. First one is voice, that is a volume. What is the volume? Normally it is said that voice is a God gift, but many times it is in our hands that we can modify, or we can make it soft, or we can make it little bit harder too. So voice is the most important element of paralanguage. Voice tells us about the speaker's sex, age, background, education, temperament, etc. Voice conveys the message in a more effective. So let us see now speaking speed after the voice. Now what is the speed? The speed that in that we speak. Sometimes it happens that we speak very fast. Sometimes it happens that we speak very slow. So speaking speed is the second element of paralanguage features. The speaking speed should neither be too fast nor be too slow. The speed should be such which ensures fluency. As a rule, the easy parts of the message should be delivered at a brisk pace as it is likely to be understood easily. On the other hand, the difficult and complicated technical part of the message should be delivered at a slower pace. Now after this, let us see variation in volume. An efficient speaker varies his volume while delivering his speech. Volume means loudness of voice. Means whether you are speaking so loudly or you are speaking so slow. Means your voice is not that much audible. Sometimes it happens when we are taking the lectures, we are speaking so slowly. And then the students comment, "Ma'am, you are not audible." So at that time we have to raise our voice. So volume variation puts life into one's speech. The loudness of voice should be adjusted according to the size of the audience. If there is a large mass of the audience, so many people are there, like 1500 to 2000 people are there in a big hall, then we have to make our voice little bit louder. So according to the size of the audience, we have to adjust our voice. While speaking, one should be loud enough to be audible, but not too loud to put the audience off. Many times it happens, some people are speaking in front of us. When they start speaking, they are speaking so loudly that the listener becomes so bored. Immediately he gets bored from that person, and that voice is not liked. So he is getting bored, and he thinks that let this person stop talking so that I can run away from here. So it happens sometimes, the embarrassing situation creates. So while speaking, one should be loud enough to be audible, but not too loud to put the audience off. After this, let us see pause. In speaking, many times it happens that in between our sentences, in between our mood, in between our intonations and pronunciation of the words, we give a pause. Pause is an important aspect of speech. One cannot and should not go on speaking without pause. Somewhere we have to give a pause. If full stop comes, we have to give a pause, long pause. If comma is there, then we have to give a small pause. So this way, pause is an important aspect of speech. One cannot and should not go on speaking without pause. Pauses have to be at the right moment. Pauses have to be at the right moment. On the correct moment only, the pause should be given. So a pause at the right moment can be very helpful in emphasizing the upcoming subject. After understanding the pause, we can say that whereas an arbitrary pause or unnecessary frequent pauses may spoil the speech. Many times it happens when the students start speaking in English, we make them stand in front of the class to speak something. They are speaking sentences in a broken pauses. They will speak one word, then they will give a pause. They will speak two words, then they will give a pause. So fragmented sentences are there. So it gives the very boring effect to the class. So we can observe that when the students start speaking, they feel this type of the problem while speaking. So Unnecessary frequent pauses may spoil the speech, and ultimately it affects the audience also. So of course, let us move on to the non-fluency. Non-fluencies means speech where we are not fluently speaking. So the fluency should be there in our speech. Continuous string of the meaningful words should be there. So let us understand about speech non-fluencies. So speech is not always continuous string of meaningful words. There are pauses scattered at intervals. These pauses are very often inserted with sounds or utterances like ah, oh, ooh, you know, okay, etc. etc. are some of the sounds that we use in our speech. So pauses are always there, and they are in the form of ah, oh, ooh, you know, okay. So these are some of the sounds. These sounds or utterances are called non-fluencies. Non-fluencies means you are fluent, but in other words, you are non-fluent too. Means when you feel you are not able to go fluent, you are not able to go straight away, there you are using some words like oh, and these are known as non-fluencies. These non-fluencies, if used carefully and sparingly, add to the fluency of the speaker and gives him time to breathe or relax and makes the listener more alert and gets the message conveyed overtly or covertly. So this gives the relaxation, it gives the speaker to take breath, it makes listener to feel more alertness and gets the message conveyed overtly or covertly. So these are some of the non-fluencies which are normally not a part of the speech, but when we use these, so meanwhile we get the relaxation, we can take the breath in continuous speech. For those reasons, we use the non-fluencies o, So I hope you have understood the non-fluencies. After non-fluencies, let us move on to the proper word stress. Many times it happens that the speaker, when he is speaking, he is not giving the stress on the sentence or on the word. So many times, due to the lack of word stress, the meanings are changed. Proper word stress is at most important in communication. A speaker can change the meaning by putting stress on a word here or a word there in the same sentence. For example, let us read the following series of statements emphasizing the bold word in each. Now here are some of the sentences. Did you go for a walk yesterday? Did you go for a walk yesterday? Here the bold word is you, right? So to did you go for a walk yesterday? Did you go for a walk yesterday? Now the stress, the bold word is go. Did you go for a walk yesterday? Next is, did you go for a walk yesterday? Now here the bold word is yesterday. In these three sentences, three questions, the stress is on a different word, and on the basis of stress, we are able to understand the meaning. In the last question, we are able to convey the meaning that not today but yesterday. In the second, we are able to understand that that is a activity of going for a walk, right? Did you go for a walk yesterday? That is activity, showing the activity of going. In the first one, did you go for a walk yesterday? That is, you went for walk yesterday. That is going of the activity of by you, not by me, not by any other person, but did you go for a walk yesterday? So these three sentences convey the different types of meanings through the word stress. So a good speaker should put stress on words or parts of words. One should also improve one's word stress by listening to good speakers and participating in discussions. Here are some of the sentences, similar kind of sentences you can also frame and then you can practice. So this way you can develop the word stress where properly we have to give the stress in our speech. Now after this word stress, let us understand the pronunciation. Pronunciation is very important part in our speech, in our communication. We can see that due to the lack of proper pronunciations, the meanings are changed. Words does not look good. The beauty of words are spoiled due to the bad pronunciation of the word. Pronunciation is the first thing that people notice in conversation. Knowledge of phonetics is essential to make correct pronunciation. A person should know the difference in the pronunciation of various sounds like a in bed, like a in bad, like o in vote, like o in home. So these are some of the sounds which we should be aware of it. Now here are certain punctuation marks. Punctuation is also very important in our communication. Many times it happens that we are mingling all the punctuation marks and we are not using them in a proper manner. So punctuation marks are very helpful in written form. Appropriate use of punctuation mark brings clarity to the content and prevents confusion. Many times it happens due to the lack of punctuation marks, there are confusions in the mind of the people. So here are some of the punctuation marks. Women, after here is a simple sentence. Women without her man is nothing. That means women without her man is nothing. Now women without her man is nothing. Now in the third sentence, women without her man is nothing. Simply, if we see this, first sentence is a simple statement that women without her man is nothing. This is a statement said by someone. Now in the second sentence, women, that is said by a woman. Women says, without her, she says, without her, man is nothing. Means, as a woman, she says, without her, man is nothing. In the last sentence, women without her man. Women without her man is nothing. That means, it is said by someone that women without her man is nothing. So these are three of the sentences which shows us due to the punctuation marks meanings are changed. We can see one more example. વર્ગખંડમાં મોબાઈલ વાપરવો નહીં. વાપરનારને દંડ થશે. વર્ગખંડમાં મોબાઈલ વાપરવો નહીં. વાપરનારને દંડ થશે. Similarly, in the next sentence, we can see that વર્ગખંડમાં મોબાઈલ વાપરવો, then comma, નહીં વાપરનારને દંડ થશે. This means we have to compulsory use mobile in the classroom. Those who will not use, they will get punished. And in the first sentence, in the classroom, you are not supposed to use the mobile. And those who will use, they will be punished. And the second sentence, that is a contradictory, that is opposite to this. So these are the magic of punctuation marks. Many times it happens that due to punctuation marks, the whole meaning is. Now after punctuation marks, let's see pitch and intonation. Pitch refers to the highness or lowness of the voice. It is similar to pitch on a musical scale. In musical scales, we have seen high pitch, low pitch, average. This way we have observed the scale in a musical instruments. So similarly, when we speak, The highness of lowness or lowness of voice is observed. Intonation pattern is observed. High pitches are usually associated with female voices, while lower pitches are associated with male voices. Though normally it is said that female only can speak in a higher volume. It's not every time correct, but mostly it is correct that female voices are associated with the higher pitches. It is the voice's pitch that others use to determine whether you are making statement or asking a question, or whether you are expressing concern or conviction. So here we have understood about the pitch and intonation. Your pitch expresses your emotional state. For instance, it can communicate anger or annoyance, patience, or tolerance. With the help of pitch and intonation, we can come to understand that whether the person who is a speaker is angry, annoyed, or is patient, or tolerant person. So this is the magic of pitch and intonation. After pitch and intonation, let us see some of the examples of rising intonation. Normally, in general questions, we are using the various speeches, that is a rising tone intonation, rising intonation. Are you scared? Is this yours? Have you read this book? Have you read this book? Are you ready to start? Melissa wants to quit her job. Melissa wants to quit her job. Where are you from? So these are rising tone. In the questions, normally we have rising intonation, whereas in the statements we have some of the some of the falling tones. She is 10 years old. He doesn't have car. I haven't read this book. So these are some of the falling tones. Those are rising tones. In the questions we have rising tone, and in the answers or statements we have falling tones. Now after intonation, now let us move on to the conclusion part. We have understood various elements of paralinguistic features. At last, I can say that with the help of these paralanguage features, paralanguage means which is parallel to language. Whatever we are speaking, the words we are speaking, how we are speaking, along with our words, volume, some aspects are going on which are parallel to language, and that is known as a paralanguage. So paralanguage, also known as vocalics, is a component of metacommunication that may modify meaning. It gives nuanced meaning or convey emotion by using techniques such as prosody, pitch, volume, intonation, and etc. etc. So it is sometimes defined as relating to non-phonemic properties. Paralanguage is your voice minus the words you speak. Again, it denotes the tone of your voice, the sound of communication, and all the intonations. So at last, I would like to say that paralanguage means a language that goes parallel to the language that we use. So this is the end of this topic. We will again meet in our next topic. Till then, bye bye and have a good day.